Have you ever thought to yourself, this participant guide is boring? My name is Paul Leon. I'm an expert salesman and trainer with over 5 years of experience. And in this video, I'm going to teach you how to create a participant guide that people care about. So one of the analogies I try to train other sales enablement trainers on, or just other trainers or teachers, whoever kind of come to me and we kind of collaborate, coach, or go through training together, is you want to think like Sesame Street. See, Sesame Street is really good because they know how to teach content very simply. They engage their audience. They should encompass that Sesame Street mentality. That's really what you want to do. By the way, Sesame Street is one of those few shows, believe it or not, that is proven to actually increase learning curves for young children, which is why it's also a good reference point. The other thing you got to remember when you're crafting your participant guide is that adults think a little differently. I picked this hack up from my friend Brian, who said that adult learners think, what is this going to do for me now, today? So I want you to think about that question in the back of your mind, like as you kind of form that participant guide. It's a great question. So, and a participant guide should always complement the content with your PowerPoint, whiteboard, or flip chart. It should never ever replace you. It should complement you. I break up my participant guide kind of the same way I structure my hour of training content. When I look at training content, I look at it hour by hour. I look at 15 minutes of information. That's like my budget for part one of it. 15 minutes of demonstration and 15 minutes of an exercise and 15 minutes of Q&A. That typical structure is how I kind of break and complement my participant guide. The other thing you always want to try to move away from is you never want your participant guide to be the bulletin you get from church, which is what a lot of people say is jokingly like, that's your receipt for going to mass. So you don't want it to be that. You don't want it to just be what shows up on your PowerPoint. That's boring. There was a training I went to once. It's one trainer. I don't like to criticize, condemn, or complain as best as I can, but he got probably a really bad score and he was really beat up about it because he felt that because he just put his slides and put a bunch of lines underneath it, that people would like that. The reality is, that's not what people want. People want the participant guide to be something that's theirs. Like when you buy a book, you buy that person's IP. I get that. When it comes to training, what you're doing is you're blending your intellectual property with their intellectual property. But what is really cool about training that I like is a book is about taking someone else's knowledge and kind of avoiding those years of mistakes, which I think is really, really powerful, whether you read digitally, paper, whatever, podcasts. I like that. But a participant guide is about elevating your participants' knowledge and putting it on a pedestal. See, a facilitator with a participant guide should never be the star. They should be the facilitator of the information. The way you become a better star is by more people you help. And one of the things I've always learned from my old mentor is, money is a measuring tool based on how many people you serve. And having a great training experience is based on how many people feel empowered in your training. So one of the other things I also want to give you some bonus content around this on is, if you're ever struggling to gain participation because you feel that they're kind of getting away from you, which happens, and sometimes, I'll be real, it's not your fault. Sometimes you just get a bad room. You have to remember that it's not your presentation style that's supposed to carry you through bad training. It's the training and materials that you included with your participant guide that carries you. Just like a handyman uses their hammer, a good sales enablement trainer has to trust their participant guide to help carry them, to help their participants have a stronger learning journey with their participant guides. Something my old mentor taught me was sometimes the best kind of leader is a cheerleader. And what you got to do in those moments is be encouraging, because again, you have to remember it's about them, it's not you. I'll give you another hack if you're starting to lose people in a training. I was doing a training in Nashville, Tennessee, and I had a very rowdy, aggressive room, not really engaged. And I was conducting a sales training. What I did with my co-facilitator was we did the training, we did the role play, we did the information, and then we did the demonstration, and the role play was the exercise. And I remember he came up to me and he said, I don't think they're really engaged. I said, don't worry, I'll handle it. And I call this the Eminem effect. It's an old movie. You ever seen 8 Mile? End of it. Spoiler alert. It's when he ends up taking the mic and he pokes fun at himself so that the other rapper can't say anything about him. It's kind of an overused piece of media to this day, but I'm still going to overuse it in this moment because I think it's really relative. So what I did when I was training in Nashville after the demonstration, my co-facilitator, I got up and I said, all right, Mr. Participants and Mrs. Participants, what did I do wrong in that role play? I didn't say, what could I have done better? I said, what could I do wrong? One of the things, if you can take the shot, is people inherently love to criticize because negative just sells faster than positive. And in the room, everybody was like, you did bad at this. I would have never said this is a good time. I would have said this is a bad time. You don't know what you're doing. And they pretty much, what felt like to some, held court. And I just stood there and took it. I said, good feedback, awesome feedback. And as they kind of, quote unquote, supposedly berated me, after that moment passed and everybody got the steam out, the role play exercise was absolutely phenomenal. We got about 5 out of 5 perfect scores, one of the highest we've ever seen. And a lot of the other guys and gals came up to who I work with, and they were like, dude, you really just took it. Like, how'd you do that? I said, it's really simple, man. They're going to forget and I'm going to forget. And the only thing that matters is, did they learn something they can apply? That's all I said. So if you learned something from this video, please apply it, and I'll catch you on the next one. And again, my name's Paul Leon. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps us out here on the Persistence Mastery YouTube channel. Take care.